Hey, it's Monday, it's noon. It's the Gopher Sports Facebook page, which means it's time for Ski-U-Mah Weekly, presented by the Minnesota Lottery. I'm Justin Gaard from KFAN Radio and sideline reporter for the Gopher Radio Network. And look who we have here. He helped us open the show all the way back in September. I think September 18th, we went through football season, and what do you know? It's already spring practice time, already spring game time. Head football coach PJ Fleck. How's it going, Coach?
It's going elite. Good to see you.
I'm just glad you made it after Goldie's run yesterday. I saw you, the pictures.
You don't think I can make it?
Was it a 5K or did you
5K?
do? You did the 5K.
I started in the 10-mile line. And I did not know I was in the 10-mile line. And as I started to run, they said, all right, 10-mile runners. And I just kind of veered off to the side, then started cheering them on.
Yep.
And then I got into the 5K line.
So second year in a row, you've been able to do Goldie's run. Did you learn anything from year one to year two? You think you're in solid,
I
good
definitely
enough shape?
changed my best. I think I beat my time. They never give you your time.
Right.
I'm sure you'll probably find that out.
We'll find it. Yeah, you can go to gophersports.com and find all that info. But it's spring. Goldie's run usually means there's a spring game on the horizon. Yours is coming up Saturday, April 12th at noon at TCF Bank Stadium. Your second spring practice with the group, your first in this beautiful new building where we are. Just give us kind of the elevator speech on how you think spring practice has gone so far.
We're getting better. We're really young, really inexperienced at a lot of positions, especially the quarterback position. You know, whoever's going to play quarterback for us hasn't thrown a college pass, right? And so that's the best of times. That's the worst of times. I look at that as a very optimistic point of view, if that surprises anybody, because we get to build them from the ground up. You know, these young freshmen and then Vic's a sophomore. But I'm really excited about the progress they've made. I think our whole team is growing up. I think we're becoming a lot more mature, and that was the whole thing at the beginning of the spring was we had to have this race to maturity. We're really young in a lot of areas, a lot of key positions. Our first real big class that we get a chance to recruit still won't be here till June. A few guys started early, but the majority of them don't get here till June. So this is part of that process, but it's really, really exciting. Players are working really hard. We've grown up a lot, and the guys who've been on the team have done a tremendous job of leading these young kids. And it's been a lot of fun. We got a lot better.
What has it been like doing it in this building for the first time? It just opened in January, new weight room, new everything, basically. How's that all been?
Well, head coaches are the most paranoid people in the world, right? And
I haven't found that to be true at all.
Not at all?
No, certainly not. But anyway, I digress.
I have to turn up my paranoid meter. But practicing outside, there are always apartment complexes right by you. So I kind of like what we do to be hidden at times. So with open practice, you can control all that environment. But for us, it's about bringing everybody in here, and we've had such a beautiful spring. We've got the ability to use this and not have to suffer in special teams with our punters or kickers. They can kick in here, they can punt in here without hitting the ceiling. Plenty of room for everybody. Plenty of room to host all of our recruits. Have open practices. We got CEO Day tomorrow, and then we've had an MFCA clinic. We've had it open to the public multiple times, and everybody's got a chance to be able to see our new facility and obviously the new indoor. It's special to have this, especially with the spring we're having.
We do have time for some questions. If you want to drop them in the comments section of the Facebook page, we'll try to get to a couple here in just a second with head coach PJ Fleck. Spring game coming up, you're doing something a little different in that you're breaking into two teams, maroon and gold. You've got different coaches coaching different teams, and I think you did kind of a Steph Curry, LeBron type deal in terms of drafting teams. Take me through the process of why you decided to do it that way and how that whole thing has gone.
Yeah, we definitely had a draft. We wanted to have a spring game. This was not my idea, right? I got a letter from a former player here, and a former player that went to school, older guy, and he sent me a letter at what he thought the spring game should look like. I sat there and thought, it's a great idea. Now we twisted it a little bit, but it sprung the idea to be able to have it not just a true game, that's easy, but how to be able to do that. And then with everybody, our fans wearing maroon or gold, picking a side. You want Coach Smith's side and Coach Coach Smith and then Rodney together and the gold side, or you want Kirk Shiraka and Thomas Barber in the maroon side, to be able to pick which one you want, wear gold or wear maroon, whichever you'd like, and then draft the players. And I think that was really critical for us, and they enjoyed that with our coaches, plus some of our players, the captains, being able to draft them. And that was something that's really special. I think everybody's going to have a lot of fun. It's a real game. Last year we didn't have enough to play a game. We only had 4 offensive linemen. So everybody's like, well, this doesn't look like a game. That's because it wasn't. But we definitely have it now.
I do want to ask you about just how different Spring 1 to Spring 2 has been just off of that alone. Last year you mentioned a lot that a lot of people had off-season surgeries. The number was in the 20s, so you weren't really getting your first look at them until fall camp.
Correct.
What's it been like injury-wise, I guess? You don't have to give specific numbers, but just to kind of know what you're getting into year 1 to year 2.
Well, we've had an extremely physical spring. We've had to go live a lot more than most in terms of we scrimmaged a lot more. We've pretty much scrimmaged maybe 3 times already, which is a lot more than we did last year. We only had 1 big scrimmage last year. So we're doing that more because this young team's got to play the game of football. They can't just practice. They can't just do drills. We've got to play the game of football to grow up. And we've been able to do that. Injuries, way down. That's a credit to SIP, our trainer, RNO, our trainer, our whole medical staff, our doctors, but also our players. They've bought into the weight room and the conditioning program. Our strength numbers are way up in every single area, from bench to squat to cling. All our maxes are way up. We're a stronger football team. We're a more athletic football team. We're a healthier football team. So Dan Nickel and his entire strength staff, John, our nutritionist, does a tremendous job. And obviously our new cafeteria here at the Athletes Village. That is world-class food for world-class student-athletes. And I know they're really excited about always going down there to eat. And we're better at elite in, elite out. So way healthier. You
mentioned the new Athletes Village. That's where our first question wants to touch on here. Megan wants to know what your favorite aspect of this new village is, whether it is the Land O'Lakes Center for Excellence, the building we're in now, the new weight room. Where do you find yourself looking, if not everywhere, and saying, wow, that's incredible?
Yeah, it's hard to have one answer in terms of what you like best. What I like best about it is the people who've donated. I'll be honest with you, because that's why this building is here. That's why our student athletes have a world-class facility now to maximize all their potential as a student athlete and springboard the next 50 years of their life. It's because of the people who made this possible. Remember, I get to reap the benefit of it, but it was people way before me that did this, and we're very thankful about that. Now, for me, I like my office. I spend a lot of time in there. It's got great views, but I really like the indoor facility because it gives us the ability to not let the elements dictate what we're doing or what we need to get done that day. We train in the Midwest, we play in the Midwest, but there are times you want to be able to simulate what you're going to actually play in, and our indoor facility definitely does that, and I think that's one of the best parts about it.
The spring game is noon Saturday, April 14th. Bring your oars again, right? You did that a year ago, and a lot of people brought oars. If you ever go in the tunnel, kind of up the tunnel and to the right, there's that oar wall of basically anybody that sent you an oar is there, right? And that's kind of a cool thing that you've connected with.
Yeah, it's an oar wall, or it's what you can call it a never give up wall, right? It's our state of Minnesota. This is your football team. We are the Gophers. This is your home state team. So we want you to be a part of it. And so decorate an oar by telling your family's story, right? Whatever that is, whether that's a story of tragedy, triumph, success, failing. We want that story to be on that oar, and we hang them up in TCF Bank Stadium, and we want to do this every year and make this a tradition and fill the inside part of our stadium with those oars of your stories, and that's what really what's all about.
Karen is our next question, wants to know about any fun surprises. Well, they wouldn't be surprises, Karen, if we told them now. However, you did pull at least one student out a year ago to try to catch a punt or something. So I imagine with you, nothing is off limits. I think that's the part of it, is we never know what's going to happen if we show up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you really know what's going to happen. There are going to be surprises, but there's not going to be just surprises in the game. I think people are really going to like what we're doing and the cause we have to back that up, but things we're going to do at halftime and a lot of serving and giving type things that I think our community be very, very proud of. So those are some of the surprises. But within the game, I'll let the game control the game, and it'll happen naturally.
Last thing, you've got practice tomorrow, practice Thursday, spring game Saturday, then I believe another practice on Monday to kind of wrap up. Just take us through this week of your final week of spring practice, what you're going to be doing before the game, and then when you send the team off basically for summer workouts on their own.
Yeah, we had a great scrimmage on Saturday, so today we're going to get back to a lot of the fundamentals individual. Today's a little bit more just strictly first down. We've covered a plethora of football and tons of situations. Now we're going to go back and really just talk about first and second down football. The whole practice will be that way. Thursday will be all third down football in green zone and tight green in 2 minutes, and then we'll get into our spring game. Once we get done, Monday's really kind of to teach the players, since we can't be there in the summer,
right.
It's to teach a player how to be able to run their own practices voluntarily when they want to do that. And, because we want them to be able to run it like ours and what to look for, what to do. So we'll do that on Monday, and then our coaches literally right after that practice head right out recruiting.
And then you're doing that basically for how long?
We do that.
Ever.
We do that for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then we come back in the office for a week, kind of bring all of our information together and collect all that. And then we go back out for another 2 weeks. And then yeah, then we started getting into summer camps. So we're going to move fast. Football season's going to be here before you know it.
Believe it or not,
fast.
with 6 inches of snow on the ground, August is just around the corner. So we'll let you get to all that. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you Saturday.
Look forward to it. Dress warm, everybody. Keep rowing the boat, Ski-U-Mah. Go Gophers. Thanks.
Head coach PJ Fleck here on Ski-U-Mah Weekly again, Saturday, April 14th, noon at TCF Bank Stadium. We'll talk softball when we come back.
To center field, up and over. The first hit of the game goes yard by one of the best power hitters in the conference. A solo shot by Kendall Lindemann. Fly ball from Sidney Dwyer. Minnesota back to back, and we're tied at 2.
Boy, sometimes hitting is contagious. You see Lindemann said, hey, I can do it, you can do it too.
Welcome back to Ski-U-Mah Weekly, presented by the Minnesota Lottery. We're joined now by softball coach Jamie Trachsel. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate you having me here.
So one thing you have to be is flexible, I would say, if you're a softball coach, especially in Minnesota. And I remember Mark Coyle talking about his meeting with John Anderson when he was hiring you, and they were kind of consulting and saying, well, you have to have someone that knows how to coach indoors. Well, obviously, this spring, you've had to do that, a lot of road games. Just kind of take me through the adjustments of having to deal with all this weather here recently.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, so when you practice and you prepare and you train in the upper Midwest, not just Minnesota, but especially in our conference, you're practicing inside. Some springs have better weather than others. I think it tests you mentally. I think when you want to be outside and you can, and some practices are, but they're not. And when you're going to your games, and sometimes they're delayed, and sometimes you're sitting at the field, you're playing a doubleheader in a single game, I think that's where you fall back to your training and trust your mentality and the importance and the value of it. And I think we've done a really good job at this point of handling the weather. I don't think the weather's been a factor for us at all, outside of maybe being frustrating.
Sure, and you've also obviously spent a lot of time on the road. Your first 30-plus games were basically away from Minnesota. But I have to imagine that also gives you a nice opportunity as a first-year coach to kind of get to know everybody right away. How was that experience?
Yeah, I think I actually enjoy traveling because you have more access to your kids.
Sure.
Whether you're sitting down in the lobby or you're on the bus together, sitting in locker rooms, I think sometimes that can be some good bonding time for that group of people. And certainly as a new coaching staff, getting to know your kids, you're exactly right.
How has the season gone so far? You just started Big Ten play here within the last couple of weeks. I know you've played a lot of ranked teams as well.
Yeah.
So give us kind of the elevator speech on how you think the season has gone.
We're still a work in progress, and we still need to get better. And I think it's really challenging our consistency. We've played the 8th toughest schedule non-conference in the preseason. And I think right now we're ranked 18th. We've had opportunities that we've maybe let us slip away, but we put ourselves in a position to win those games in conference. And we feel like we're one play away in both those games to have a W instead of a loss behind our name. But you're not above anything. Everybody's beatable. You're not guaranteed anything. And so we know we just keep working. We have to keep getting better. But really it's the consistency in every area that we feel like we're piecing things together. We just need to keep having things play out when 2 of the 3 areas in our sport each game to give ourselves a better chance to win those games.
As we came into this segment, there were a couple of, certainly a lot of home runs that we've seen here recently. I know you guys have 10 since Big Ten play has started. So any key to that besides just good at-bats, good approaches, and probably good players as well?
Both. Big kids coming up in big moments, and doing their part and going back and forth and giving us a chance to win the game. We've had big hits that have really come through and been determining factors in, with where we were in the game. And so you hope your kids actually have the good at-bats and can play their best when it matters the most. And we've had some, especially from Kendall, Dwyer following that up to give ourselves a chance. But you got to finish, and it takes everybody to do that on both sides of the ball. And we'll keep getting better with every opportunity.
The Gophers go to Iowa this weekend and then come back Wisconsin on the 18th, which starts a 7-game homestand for the softball team. I'm sure you've experienced the home field advantage you have here. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it as well. Unfortunately, you probably haven't been able to see it a lot, even with just a couple of home games. But how excited are you to just get back at home and play a nice stretch of games here?
Really excited. You know, it's going to be a great test at Iowa. They've had a good season so far. They've had some big wins and had a good series against Wisconsin. So our focus really is on Iowa right now. And then once we know we get through Iowa, we'll pretty much be playing at home until postseason opportunities, you know, come May. And so we're excited to get back. Every extra thing helps. And the one thing besides playing on the road is we've been the visiting team a lot this year.
Right.
I mean, we went through a 12-game stretch through spring break where we were actually the visiting team, not even home, even though we were playing on the road. And I think that's tough. We are constantly that visiting team. And so Iowa's our main focus this week, but when we come back, we'll use every ounce of advantage that we have, which is our home field, you know, and definitely our home crowd and the energy that we get from it.
You've also talked a lot about making sure your team is prepared for the important moments towards the end of the season, which someday the sun will come out and it'll feel like the end of the season. But where do you feel like you are on that spectrum from when you started, you know, non-conference stuff to where you want to get to? Kind of give us a sense of that.
I think we're on our way up. By no means have we peaked at all. And you know, there's only so much runway in front of you, you know, when you're taking off. And so we've learned a lot. There's a lot of experiences with the new staff, as coaching staff, a new pitching staff, you know, kind of a young team in general. And so we keep getting better, and I know we're getting better. And you see glimpses of really being a great team. And so, and that's our, you know, our kind of our bar is to challenge greatness and the standards and expectations that go along with it. And so we're definitely on our way up, and I'm excited to see where this team goes as we continue through Big Ten play. You've
also talked about really the most important thing for you is making sure you're there for the student athletes, that they have a great experience every step of the way. Not that a facility like this makes it easy to guarantee that, but what's it been like for you to come here as a first-year coach right into this new building with the Land O'Lakes Center for Excellence, the new tutors, the new food, everything? That has to be, your student athletes have to be loving it.
Yeah, I mean, you ask a lot of your kids, and time is the number one thing in the demand of it. And so when they can go to practice and go out and get a good meal, and they get to stay in a centralized location for practice, athletic training, tutors, studying, eating, it makes their life so much easier. And so I think anytime you're asking a lot of them, anytime that you can reward them or give them that, almost return that to them, you know, they're better for it. And this is, you know, this building has not disappointed at all since its opening.
One of our questions is from Karen, wants to talk about practice and drills, making them fun. I know I've heard you're very intense. I've heard that you're, well, intense is the right word. I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong on that, but there also does have to be a balance of working hard and having fun, right? So how do you strike that balance?
Definitely. I think that's the key to everything, is that you can, when it's time to work, you work, and when it's time to play, so to speak, that you can enjoy the people that you're around and your experience. And so when there's a time to train, that's what you're doing, and when not, I think it's our job and our responsibility to make sure that your team and your atmosphere and your culture is of equal value. And I always say, like, people have close teams, but there's still a difference between having a close team and being family. And I think you're always striving towards family, and that's when you love your kids, maybe even when you don't like them sometimes.
Sure.
And you understand that we're not their favorite people all the time, but I think that's when you're willing to invest everything you have into the greater good of everybody.
Well, best of luck in Iowa City this weekend, and then hopefully the sun comes out for you on April 18th. We're giving you plenty of time, hopefully, for the sun. So nice to meet you, and thanks for coming by Ski-U-Mah Weekly.
Appreciate the time.